How did Warren Buffett, the greatest investors of this generation, miss out on the market crash of 2020 when the pandemic hit at its peak? Warren Buffett is known for the 2008 running in and taking advantage, 2000 taking advantage. How can he sit up and say, "Hey, I missed out on March of 2020"? Ladies and gentlemen, I've done some research that I'm going to disclose here today. First, I'm going to play Warren Buffett at his latest meeting last weekend, talking about missing the March of 2020 crash. And then I'm going to give you some advice, not advice, but I'm going to play some audio from Ted, one of his top advisors, top investment advisors at Berkshire, which is Ted and Todd, which he's going to disclose why he missed out on it and something you can take on board as an investor. But ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't done so already, y'all know what time it is. Go ahead and make sure. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell icon. Hit that like, comment, and share button. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children, my ladies, you are now tuned into the Investor Show. As always, this is your gracious host, the Prince of Investing, Prince Dykes, coming to you guys and girls live all the way from the beautiful city and state of Denver, Colorado. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, comment, and share button, and hit that bell icon to get notifications. But as always, I don't have a lot of time, and I definitely know you guys and girls don't have a lot of time, so let's jump straight into it. So right here, let me roll that beautiful beam footage from Berkshire when Warren Buffett hit on how he missed the market crash of 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to hear this from a almost 92-year-old investor who's been in the game for 60-something years, 70 years almost, how he missed a market crash. So when you're looking at today, S&P 500 off to its worst start, you can take advantage of this and say, hey, maybe this is the time I need to scoop in. Here we go.
Obviously, we haven't the faintest idea what the stock market is going to do when it opens on Monday. We never have had. We have never made, Charlie and I don't think, in all the time we've worked together, and I'll tell you something later on maybe about how learning takes place, but we have never, I don't think we've ever made a decision where either one of us has either said or been thinking we should buy or sell based on what the market is going to do. No. Or for that matter, on what the economy is going to do. We don't know. And the interesting thing is, sometimes I get some credit someplace for the fact that, how wonderful it was that we were optimistic in 2008 and when everybody was down on stocks and all that sort of thing. We spent a big percentage of our net worth at a very dumb time. and I shouldn't say we, it's I. We spent about $15 or $16 billion, which was a lot bigger to us then than it is now. We spent it in the last few weeks, a period of 3 or 4 weeks, between Wrigley and Goldman Sachs and General Electric, at a terrible time, as it turned out. I mean, I didn't know whether it was going to be a good time or a bad time, but it was a really dumb time. And I wrote an article for the New York Times and Buy America and all these things. Well, if I'd had any sense of timing and waited 6 months until, I think the low was in March, and in fact, I think I was on CNBC maybe that day or something, but I totally missed
Here we go.
that opportunity. I totally missed, in March of 2020. We have not been good at timing. We've been reasonably good at figuring out when we were getting enough for our money.
So right here, he just told you I totally missed out on March of 2020. And he was saying back in 2008, even though they didn't know what the market was doing, they did a good job with buying Wrigley's chewing gum. They did a good job with buying Goldman Sachs and General Electric, things like that. That was a perfect time for them to scoop in. But now you got to ask yourself, how did they miss the March of 2020? What did they do? What did they do different? Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. I'm going to pull it up right here. Let me roll that beautiful beam footage. Now, this is Ted. I can't even say Ted's last name. I had the opportunity to meet Ted one time. I met him at Buffett's office back in 2019. Ted and Todd, but they're the top guys. Ted won dinner with Buffett twice. I think he paid he paid $1 million the first time and had dinner with Buffett. And the second time, he said Buffett offered him a job to come up to Berkshire, and he decided to take that job opportunity. So he's the top investor. You got Ted and you got Todd. These are the top two guys who's making all the investments, who's buying the Apples and the Amazons, all the other good stuff like that. So let's hear what he has to say on why they missed that market timing of March of 2020.
But then, it was a tough one from an investing standpoint because
he's speaking on the pandemic.
All of us. I mean, it's Warren, Todd Combs is the other investment manager. We looked at each other and it's like, wow, just not seen anything like this.
Talking about
not
the pandemic.
Sure how this is going to play
never
out.
Seen this type
and we had a lot of very good information, but we didn't have a relative edge.
Did you have those conversations just like what you just said there? Like, how is this going to
play out? No, it was, we're sitting there over, quarter pounders with cheese saying like, what do we think? And then it was like, geez, just don't know. And in the it was brilliant work on the part of the Fed and Jay Powell in, fixing everything. But the moment they came in, I think it was March 20th of 2020. Here it is. That the Fed effectively put a floor under everything.
See, they just said March of 2020, the Fed came in and put a floor on everything. What does that mean, Ted?
And the moment they did that, the opportunities that would have been there for Berkshire, they weren't there anymore. I mean,
what does that mean?
Well, it means that, historically, the best times for Berkshire have been when there's been difficulties out there, where people needed capital and banks weren't lending because there's a banking crisis going on. And so we'd say, wow, we like your business. We'll effectively lend you money, or we'll buy 15% of your business in a negotiated transaction. Good for you, good for us. In 2000, we did several of those. Warren did several of those kind of trades that were very, very good. They built on Berkshire's reputation. They helped the companies involved. Done one with General Electric, one with Harley Davidson motorcycles, one with Tiffany's. I mean, just a bunch of these, but they all were very good transactions. Relatively low risk. And we thought, like, maybe we can do this time around. But the window closed very quickly, and with all of a sudden, the view was the banking system was going to effectively shut down, and there wasn't going to be lending available for institutions. But in actual fact, there was plenty of money available. The Fed came in and said, open the vault, whatever you need. And even Berkshire can't compete with that. Yeah.
And then
there you have it. Pretty much what he said was, back in 2000, 2008, when we have economical depressed times, usually the banks get scared. Money becomes very tight. Banks don't want to lend money. Money becomes very hard. Companies have a hard time. This is when Berkshire comes in with companies like Tiffany, Harley Davidson, General Electric. They scoop in right at these times, and this is the prime opportunity for Berkshire to expand. See, what changed in March of 2020, he just said it. Jay Powell, Jerome Powell, the Federal Reserve Chair, that's why I always play his content here because it's very important. He came in and said, hey, him and the Secretary of Treasury, what's her name? I can't even think of her name. I could see her face. They used to call her Mother Goose. But what she does is she comes in and she decides to, hey, you know what? We're going to open up the vault. We're going to give companies all the money they need, aka these PPP loans just went wild. Corporations could get whatever money they wanted from the government. They didn't need money from private equity companies. So Berkshire didn't have the opportunity. They said, hey, the opportunities dried up. March of 2020, when they dropped down the interest rates and printed up all this money and just gave it to companies just to keep the doors open and keep the payroll going, the opportunities for Berkshire dried up. They didn't have the opportunities to go in there and to be in the scoop and things like that. So when you hear Warren Buffett says, hey, I missed out on March of 2020, then you hear one of his top two advisors, which is Ted Washworth, his name is, and Todd Combs. When you hear Ted say, hey, we would have loved to jump in and buy things, but the Federal Reserve took away that opportunity because they just started opening up the vault, printing money, just handing out money to everybody. And that took away the leverage of Berkshire Hathaway. They couldn't even compete with that. So there you have it. That's probably why Warren Buffett missed out on the March 2020 dip in the market, because companies, usually in these hard times, this is when Berkshire shine. 2020, 2028, 2008, 2000, when money gets tight, that's when Warren gets on the phone. Look how many companies was begging Warren back in 2008. Lehman Brothers, Goldman Sachs, all begging Warren, trying to sell their companies to Warren at the time. But this time around in 2020, with Jerome Powell just printing out money, Berkshire missed that opportunity. Well, there you have it. That's my synopsis. That's my research that I've done listening to Warren and also listening to Ted here on this podcast here. Y'all check out this podcast. Pretty cool that they got Ted to do a podcast. I didn't think he would probably even do something like this, but great opportunities. What do you take from this? Y'all let me know in the comments. Y'all comment. Let me know what you think, what you thought, what's your thought process. All right. Until the next video, podcast, cartoon, book, or whatever else crazy y'all see me do around the globe. Y'all already know what my name is. I'm Prince Dykes. I'm the Prince of Investing. Peace, be safe. I'm out, and thank you.